What's up guys, and welcome back to Software and Audio Solutions, and today we're talking about Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Season 3. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's out right now and it's playable at this very moment, and there's a lot of new things out in this game at this very moment, and obviously there is going to be massive decrease in FPS with a lot of people's systems. Now I highly recommend all you're going to need to do is follow my guidelines from the beginning to the end of my video and you should be good to go. Now something worth mentioning is this right here at the bottom. It says other apps. Now for a lot of people out there that don't have the best of graphics cards, you maybe don't own the highest end of graphics cards, I highly recommend that you follow my video from the beginning to the end, because I'm going to show you some things you can do inside Windows and inside your Nvidia control panel and stuff like that, that you can make this number go lower. Now right now at this very moment it is almost at 1 gig because I'm using OBS at this very moment as well to be recording this video. So this number is actually lower when I play my game. Just in general it's much lower if I don't use OBS and stuff like that. Highly recommend closing all background apps, but I'll show you how to do that and what you should be putting off to have this number at a very low number so it doesn't use resources like your VRAM of your GPU, and you can have more access of VRAM to have better settings inside the game overall. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, I'm on my desktop right now, and I highly recommend you go ahead and do this as well. Please just be on your desktop and then go ahead and change these things right now at this very moment, and please go ahead and do so. As you can see, I'm using a wallpaper engine which is on Steam. You can purchase it on Steam, and you can go ahead and either right click on it. A lot of people are saying you can just go ahead and pause it, then it won't move. As you can see, stuff aren't moving on my screen right now and uses less VRAM. Then if I unpause it, stuff are moving on my screen. What I highly recommend you go ahead and do is just right click and then quit onto your desktop, just like this, so it looks like this, so you have a still image on your desktop. Then from here, I highly recommend you go ahead and go to Start, go to Settings over here, and come inside here. You're going to go to Privacy, scroll all the way down to the bottom over here, and then go to where it says Background Apps, and then turn your background apps off, okay? If you're on Windows 10 like me, it's very easy to do. You can just go from on to off. Then all of these things here that is running in the background won't be running in the background using VRAM usage. Like I said, you will be under the 1 gig usage of other apps in Call of Duty by having this turned off. If you're on Windows 11, then please go ahead and disable them. You can go ahead and disable them individually. If you don't know how to do that, you have access to the internet, just Google how to do that. It's very easy and simple to do. I'm on Windows 10, so it's very easy for me. I literally just go from on to off, and then all my background apps are turned off completely, and they don't run in the background using VRAM usage, and just in general, resources like my CPU, RAM, drive, all those things, turn it off. You don't need background apps running. From here, you can go to Home, and you're going to come inside here where it says Gaming. Come inside here and go to Game Mode, and make sure that Game Mode is turned on right now for Season 3. From here, you're going to go to Graphic Settings and come inside here. Okay, now, hardware accelerated GPU scheduling, I highly recommend turning this on right now if you have this option. Okay, if you've never turned this on before and yours is off like this, and you turn it on, it's going to say restart your PC to apply your changes. Now just go ahead and then change it to on. If yours is off right now, it will then say restart your PC to apply changes when you turn it on, if yours was off. Okay, now I highly recommend changing this to on and then restarting your computer after watching my entire video. Then come inside here at the bottom and go ahead and find where your Call of Duty is installed by just clicking the browse button over here, and then go to where your Call of Duty is installed. Now my Call of Duty is installed on this drive over here, so then I go to Call of Duty over here and then go here. I renamed this Call of Duty. It's literally saying Season 2. It's actually on Season 3 right now, but it's because of a fix. That's why I renamed this. Yours will just be called Call of Duty, just in general Call of Duty. Come inside here and then select the launcher, which is Call of Duty launcher.exe. Go ahead and select it, and then add it inside here. Select it, go to Options, and then go to High Performance and select your graphics card that you're currently running. As you can see there, it still says Season 2. It's because I renamed it for a fix for the game. You can actually rename the game, and then yeah, I have videos on my YouTube on how to fix it. But anyways, that's for Call of Duty crashing to the desktop. Now ladies and gentlemen, if you're still experiencing that issues, okay, where your Call of Duty is just dying, or it doesn't want to launch, or doesn't run through Steam, or doesn't want to work in general, your Black Ops 6 doesn't want to work, you can just email me right here and I can show you how to fix this. But I'm not going to do this for free because it takes a lot of time and dedication, because I need to find out what is the reason why your game is crashing. So just email me right there and then I can add you to my Discord. I do charge a service fee, ladies and gentlemen. I don't do this shit for free because it takes a lot of time and dedication adding you to my Discord, then going into a call, and then sit and go through your entire computer to find out what is the reason why your game is crashing. All right, from here, you're going to go to the home page and you're going to come inside here. Please make sure that your Windows is up to date at this very moment. I actually did one this morning. So if you go to update and security and you come inside here, you're going to click on restart. And now, once everything is done and you updated your Windows, it's very important to update your Windows, ladies and gentlemen. Please go ahead and do that. And there's obviously optional versions. I mean, this is for my SteelSeries app, literally for my headset, and I can go ahead and download and install it right now. If I just click on it, and it will go ahead and download and install it. Please go ahead and do this. It's very important for your Windows to stay up to date. Very, very important. Please go ahead and do this. All right, once you're done with this, you can just fuck out of this. I'm not going to show you how I'm downloading that. You're going to then go to Nvidia's new app, which is out right now and works perfectly fine at this very moment. It used to have a lot of problems, and that's why I didn't use it. And you're going to go to drivers over here, and you're going to come inside here. If you are an Nvidia user like me, then go ahead and have this driver running right now at this very moment. As you can see, it's up to date. If I go to check for updates to just refresh it, basically, it will tell me that I have the latest graphics card drivers installed, which is 572.83. Now, I'm releasing this video today. In a next couple of days, there might be a new driver that's getting released. Please make sure that you go ahead and download and install it. Now, something that's very, very important. Once you install a new driver and you install it and you do a fresh install, or let's say a custom installation, or whatever the case might be, and you right click on your desktop and you open up the video control panel, I'm going to go in here to show you what you're going to need to do in anyways. Come inside here, go here to adjust image settings with preview, have this at use the advanced 3D image settings, and click on take me there. It's basically going to take you to manage 3D settings, and it's going to take you inside here. Please make sure that yours is exactly like mine. Please go ahead and do this. Now, in my previous videos, I go over everything inside here and tell you basically why they should be on, why they shouldn't be on, and what they should be on, okay? And why you would put them on and why you would put them off, and why you would choose prefer maximum performance, why you would select your graphics card, why you would say driver default. I explain it in my previous videos. Just copy everything inside here. I don't want to make this video too long because it's already quite long. Right, just copy my settings inside here. You should be good to go. Then go to config, surround, and physics. Now your physics is handled through your graphics card, so obviously do not select auto select, because then it will jump between your GPU and your CPU, and you don't want it to do that. Then go ahead and select your graphics card, your dedicated graphics card, and say apply. Once you've done that, you should be good to go. All right, then the very last thing I highly recommend you go ahead and do is go to adjust desktop color setting and come inside here. As you can see, I have 3 screens over here, and this is my main screen where I play my game on. What I highly recommend you go ahead and do is go to contrast, put this at 65, and then have this at your own personal preference. Click on the preference for image 3 so you can see this. If you pull this all the way to 0, it will be black and white. If you pull this all the way to 50, which is basically Windows' default settings, you'll see that your screen and everything here looks washed out. Even this picture right now will be washed out. Now, start tuning this to your own personal preference, like 65, 60, 70, 75, 80, 85. My sweet spot has always been 95, and it will always be 95. This is how I run all my games on my computer. Now, bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, if you put this at a certain digital vibrance, it's going to apply it for your entire screen, and it's going to apply it for your entire computer as well. Not just for Call of Duty. It's not just going to pop the digital vibrance in Call of Duty. It's going to pop the digital vibrance in every single game that you're going to be playing. Right. So put it where you want it. Then when you have your personal preference, go ahead and apply it. And then once it's applied, it will maybe flash a couple of times just to set the settings. And then you can fuck out of this. And let's jump straight into the rest of the settings inside the game. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see within the display tab right now, and I highly recommend running your game at full screen exclusive and run it like this. If you run it like this, the game's going to give you less input latency. The game's going to be much more responsive. And overall, your gameplay will be much, much more smoother overall in gameplay sense while you're playing the game. Now, for people out there that has multiple monitors, running this at full screen borderless, if you aren't seeing any stuttering or any lag or anything like that, and your game doesn't feel like absolute dog shit, I highly recommend just leaving it at full screen borderless then if you run your game like that with multiple monitors. But if you only have one single monitor or a display or a laptop display or a screen in general, just one, go with full screen exclusive. It's the best. You can also run your game with full screen exclusive with multiple monitors. I'm doing it currently with Season 3, and it works perfectly fine, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's jump straight over to the next step. All right, so the next step is this over here. This is the aspect ratio, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people are playing this game on either automatic. So obviously it picks up the screen automatically for you, what you are using, because you could be using an ultra-wide monitor or a gaming monitor or something like that in your preference, depending on your screen that you are running. But I've been playing my games, all my first-person shooting games, especially when it comes to Call of Duty, at 16:9. Overall, I have a competitive advantage over my enemies at this ratio for my screen. Okay, now it doesn't matter what screen you are running. If you're running this game at 16:9, you'll see a huge difference in overall gameplay experience, not performance wise but experience wise. You will see a difference, a huge difference at 16:9. But yet again, it's your own personal preference on what type of screen you are running, so you can just go to automatic and it will automatically pick up the screen that you are currently running, depending if it's an ultra wide or whatever the case might be. All right, from here you're gonna have this over here where it says restart straight up reloading. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, every time you click on this and you say restart, you physically need to restart your entire game. So if you change anything inside here, ladies and gentlemen, yes, it is a thing if you click restart, because it's going to start installing shaders here at the top left corner. It's going to then literally restart your game completely, depending if you're playing this through Battle.net or the Xbox Game Pass, or let's just say you're playing this through Steam or whatever the case might be. It's going to completely then restart. You have to restart the game, and then it's going to restart installing your shaders from overs if you change everything inside you to your own personal preference. Just want to point that out there, ladies and gentlemen. But you're not going to do this now. You're going to do this at the end of my video after changing everything that I'm about to tell you to change. Just follow my guidelines and you should be good to go. All right, so display gamma, I play mine at 2.4 right now at this very moment. It actually gives me a digital vibrance increase in my game, and it makes the game pop a little bit more overall than what 2.2 does. But it's your own personal preference. If you're running a normal monitor, like just in general, your average monitor, 2.2 is perfectly fine. But if you're running something like a gaming monitor or something like that, I highly recommend running this at 2.4. It actually gives you digital vibrance in the game, and it makes the game look much, much better. All right, gamma slash brightness, I highly recommend putting this at least 60%. 60% and above. It's your own personal preference, depending on, like, in general, how strong your monitor is, whatever the case might be, because a lot of people can actually change their brightness on their physical monitor itself by pressing the buttons or whatever the case might be. But I highly recommend just overall having this game not on its defaults, but at least at 60, or let's say 65, or it's your own personal preference when it comes to the brightness. Just push it up a little bit, because there's a lot of dark corners in this game, and there's a lot of dark characters in this game that you can't see if you have this at its default. All right, so Nvidia Reflex Low Latency plays a very big role on this game. It really, really does. And obviously on the right hand side here, it shows you what this does. So on plus boost is if you are CPU bound cases, meaning you have a low end CPU and you have a high end GPU. Not saying you have the lowest end of CPU, but just in general, there is a bit of a bottleneck happening, meaning you got a lower CPU and a higher end GPU. Okay, then you will put this on plus boost. Okay, if you have a higher end CPU than a GPU. But most case scenarios right now, this very moment, most people are going all out with their graphics cards and not all out with their CPUs. Now, if you are one of those people out there that went all out with their CPUs and their GPUs at the same time, then when you come inside this game and this thing's already on something, let's say it's on or it's on plus boost, don't change it. Okay, but if you know you got a, let's say, low-end CPU and you got a really high-end GPU, which is going to be most cases of the people out there playing this game right now, they have a way better GPU than a CPU, you're going to put this on plus boost and leave it there. Because like I said, this is for CPU-bound cases. Now, GPU-bound cases would obviously be on, but yet again, if you have a CPU and a GPU equivalent to each other, you can put this on and it will run perfectly fine. That's how my game is setting. It put it for me like this when I came into the game. Now, I highly recommend leaving the setting like this. Whichever setting it gave you, leave it like that for your gameplay experience, because it will actually be much better overall. But if you know that your CPU is not the best and you have a way better GPU, go on plus boost, it can actually increase FPS in the game. All right, eco mode preset at custom, VSync gameplay. This is if you want to cap your FPS to the refresh rate of your screen. So let's say you have a 60 Hz screen, 120. 140, 240, all the way to a 500 hertz screen, then it'll cap the FPS to that refresh rate. Or if you're physically getting screen tearing, that's the main reason why this option's here, is if you're getting screen tearing in your game and your game's starting to tear itself apart while you're playing this game and it feels unplayable, then I would highly recommend putting this at 100. Just know to self that this will cap your FPS to the hertz and the refresh rate of your monitor. Okay, so let's say you got a 120 hertz monitor, you'll only do 120 FPS and you won't climb any higher than that in the gameplay. That's why it says gameplay over here, right? Then you get menus, you can cap it to 100 and it will cap your FPS to the refresh rate and the hertz of your screen in the menus. Now, I highly recommend doing this. Most likely you're going to have this off because it's the menus, but some people will put this on over here because it's in the gameplay itself. All right. Then you're going to have custom frame rate limit. I have mine on unlimited. But what I suggest you go ahead and do is, right now, this very moment for Season 3, is go to custom over here, come inside here, and then overall, have your FPS at a limit that you are pushing 20 FPS above what your limit is in the game. So running around on every single map on Black Ops 6, let's just make an example. Let's say you are getting 250 FPS like this, right? So you're getting 250 FPS in general. So let's just say you're getting 250 FPS all over every single map. You're doing 250 FPS and above. What I would recommend you go ahead and do is drop 20 down, so 230, and cap your FPS like this. 20 FPS less than what you get on average in your game, okay? Which you get on average on all single maps, every single map that's out there right now at this very moment for Black Ops 6. Drop it 20 FPS lower. Now, I leave mine unlimited over here, so I'm just going to put this to 300. Then you get your menu custom frame rate limit. This is obviously in your menus. And then out of focus is if maybe if you go to another screen or whatever the case might be, then leave it at 30. You should be good to go. Right, I leave mine on unlimited and I do unlimited FPS constantly, and this is how I play my game. I don't get any stuttering in my game or anything like that. I leave mine unlimited, always have, always will. It runs perfectly fine like this. I haven't seen any issues, so this is why I keep it like this. If I start seeing issues because of this option, I would go to custom, come inside here, and then average this out. So I do about way more than 300 FPS, so obviously I'll just leave mine at 300 over here, and I should be good to go, right? I am running a 14700K, a 4070 Super, and that's how I'm running my game at this very moment. Okay, then reduce menu render resolution. I highly recommend leaving this at native like this. Then pause game rendering off. Reduce quality when inactive. You can go ahead and select this. Let me just select something over here and then select it over here. Then, as you can see, it says 10 minutes and 5 minutes over here. Go ahead and put this on whatever you would like to put this on. If you're constantly on Call of Duty, you can actually reduce the quality when you're not by your computer or whatever the case might be, and you're constantly in the game. For me, I don't put this on because if I don't play the game, I completely fuck out of the game and then be on my desktop, right? For people out there that's constantly running this game and you're constantly inside the game, I would highly recommend choosing this option so you can reduce the quality when inactive. Alright, so focus mode, I highly recommend you just go ahead and leave this at 0. I'm not going to explain this every time I make a video. Just leave this at 0 and you should be good to go. Then just go ahead and apply these settings and you should be good to go, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and do that. And then just overall have your settings like this or change it to your personal preference. Alright, we're going to jump straight into the quality tab over here and we're going to come inside here. Now, as you can see, you get reset to recommended, minimum, basic, balance, ultra, extreme, and then custom. Now, you might not have custom overall because you've never changed anything inside here before, so you won't have custom, and you also won't have reset to recommended. You'll have minimum, basic, balance, ultra, and extreme. Now, I can run my game perfectly fine on any of these options. I can run it on extreme perfectly fine, but I wouldn't do that because I want a competitive advantage over my enemies overall, in general, when I'm playing this game. Now, when it comes to this game, I highly recommend running your game either at 1080p or 1440p. A lot of people are getting away with 4K, but they're not doing the best of FPS, so the FPS is dropping a lot. Overall, I actually decreased my settings in my Nvidia control panel, so it can cap it to 100% usage or render scale and make it at 1080p. So my game actually runs perfectly fine like this. This is why I did this, and there is an option inside the video control panel which you can go ahead and change to uncheck your 4K res and have this at 100%, then this will be 1080p instead of 4K. Then you get your dynamic resolution. A lot of people are actually using this. Overall, right now, this very moment, I've actually seen a decrease with my machine. Might not be the same with yours, But with my machine, if I use this dynamic resolution with my rig, I actually decrease FPS. Then you get your upscaling, sharpening, and now obviously, ladies and gentlemen, there is a bunch of settings inside here, and a lot of people don't know what to choose inside here. I choose Fidelity FX Cache with my rig, and this is how I run my game, and I have this 70% like this. Now, as you can see here, AMD frame generation has been put on for some reason. I'm going to apply these settings and take it off. I highly recommend leaving these off over here. Frame generation is not meant for a multiplayer game. It's meant for single player games. Okay? If you are not getting that FPS that you want in a single player game and you want to basically create AI frames, so a frame, then an AI created frame, then a frame, then an AI created frame, that's frame generation. Okay? Now, you don't want that in a multiplayer game, but, ladies and gentlemen, there is going to be people in my comment section down below that's going to tell me that they have one of these things on and they're running their games perfectly fine. So I can't please everyone out there, but just, it's common sense to not have these two things on overall. If you have an Nvidia card or an AMD card over here, do not put this on because it's a multiplayer game. So, it's going to be a personal preference when it comes to this option right here. Okay? So, I'm going to go over these over here. I'm just going to show you what you should be using depending on the rig that you're running. Now, AMD FSR 3, right now at this very moment, is a very good option for you if you're running a low-tier graphics card with a low-tier CPU. Overall, you have a low-tier gaming rig. I would highly recommend using AMD FSR 3, even if you're running an Nvidia graphics card. Then you're going to come inside here and have this either at native, or you can go to balanced. Okay, native is the native resolution of your monitor, so 1080p, 1440p, all the way to 4K. It will do the native resolution of your monitor. That is native. Now, I highly recommend putting this at balance if you are still struggling with FPS, even on AMD FSR 3 with the rig that you are running, and it's on balance over here. Please go ahead, just go to balance, and then you're going to come over here, and then I'm going to show you what you're going to change. You're going to have AMD FSR 3 if you're still struggling with this game, and FPS. Balance over here to increase your overall balancing the games out quality and performance-wise, and how the game runs, and how it just performs in general. Then you're going to come over here and have this at low, because there's not a lot of difference over here between low and normal and high. Okay? High, there's a big difference, but I would highly then recommend, if you're running a low-end gaming machine in general, leaving it at low, right? Low and normal, there's not a lot of difference, okay? Even at high, there's not that much of a difference. You won't even notice it that much, okay? Have this over here at least at ultra, okay? Now, if you, like I said, if you're running a low-end machine, I would highly then just recommend putting this at normal like this, and you should be good to go, okay? Then, you can go to AMD FSR 1 over here as well. It's also another option for low-end machines, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I was actually at the dentist yesterday, so if you hear my voice just going a little bit weird, yeah, sorry about that. Anyways, so if you hear my voice sounding a bit weird, yeah, I was at the dentist yesterday, and I'm still a bit sick, so that's also why I haven't uploaded a video since a month ago, literally. But yeah, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, so the second one would be this one over here, like I said, AMD FSR 1, if you're running a low-end rig, and then have this exactly the same, like I said, the same as AMD FSR 3. Right, then we get Fidelity FX Cache. This is for all people out there. This is for people out there running high-end machines, medium-end machines, or low-end machines, or you're physically playing this game on a calculator. You can run this game on Fidelity FX Cache. I run my game at Fidelity FX Cache because it actually makes the game look really sharp. Overall gameplay experience is really, really good. And ladies and gentlemen, just as an example, if you're running, let's say, mid-tier, then you're going to start changing this to normal and this to at least high. Then if you're running a high-end machine, you're going to change this to still normal. Normal would be perfectly fine. Don't change to high. You don't need to change to high. But this, you could put at ultra like this, and you should be good to go. Please go ahead and do that. Then, a very important step is for high-end users, high-end GPU users, 80% over here. Low-end to medium-end users on GPUs from AMD or Nvidia side, 60%, and press enter and leave it like this. Do not, I repeat, do not listen to the people that's telling you to put this at 90% like this. Do not do that. It decreases how your game performs. It's going to use all the VRAM it can out of your GPU when it can. And when it hits the peak of your VRAM usage, your game's going to run like dog shit. It's going to feel like you either stuttering. It's going to feel like you're getting packet bursts. You will actually increase your packet burst in this game or packet loss and stuff like that if you're putting this at 90. Do not do this, okay? So high-end users, even if you have the best graphics card out there on the planet, run this at 80. If you have a mid-tier to low-end graphics card, 60 over here, and you should be good to go. And like I said, with higher end machines, normal, ultra, lower end machines, you're going to go to low, and then over here to normal. Okay, now, there's more inside here, which is Nvidia DLSS. A lot of people are actually using this option right now if they're running Nvidia cards, all right? I highly recommend putting this at performance like this, and your game will actually run really, really well. But this is the thing about Nvidia DLSS. On your left and right hand side of your screen, while you are moving, it blurs out a little bit. Not a lot, a little bit, okay? But if you're standing dead still, it doesn't blur on the left and right hand side of your screen. But obviously you are not going to come into this game and stand fucking still, all right? So then what I highly recommend you go ahead and do is, if you're running the Nvidia DLSS and you've got a really good Nvidia card, go with balance over here, or with quality if you have a high-end card and you're running a high-end Nvidia card right now at this very moment. Go to quality, and the game runs really, really well and looks really, really well at the same time as you using Nvidia DLSS quality and at 50 over here. Please go ahead and do that, and you should be good to go. And then these over here, like I said, these are how your machine performs. High-end or medium to almost high-end, normal over here, and then this one over here at ultra. Okay, leave it like that. You don't have to change this again. So high-end machines, normal, ultra, and then medium to low-end machines, you're going to go to low over here, and then high, or you can actually just go to normal over there. You should be good to go. And then change this to your own personal preference. Okay, now, Nvidia DLAA, I don't use this. I've never used it. I don't know who uses it. But if you do use this option, please come inside here and have this at 50%. That's how I would recommend you run Nvidia DLAA, is 50% of here. I don't use it at all, but I've tried it. So 50 is the best one you can be using in the sharpness overall. But yet again, it depends on the screens that you are running as well. So go ahead and change it to your own personal preference, right? I don't really recommend this option overall. Just in general, I don't. All right, NVIDIA image scaling. I highly recommend using this for people out there running, let's say, 10 series graphics cards and stuff like that. Like a 1060, a 1070, a 1080, stuff like that. Even your 20 series, so your 2060s and stuff like that, you can come to NVIDIA image scaling, come over here, and then go to balance. If you can see you can squeeze more out of your game and you're still doing really good FPS, go to ultra quality. Or if you want to do the native resolution of your screen, go to native. Sharpness is your own personal preference over here, ladies and gentlemen. It's literally your own personal preference. Now, obviously, the next one over here is the Intel upscaling, and a lot of people are actually using this as well. What I highly recommend you go ahead and do is, in general, run this at native, so it runs your native resolution of your monitor, or run it at ultra quality plus. This is not the best upscaling in the game. It's really not, and it makes the game look like absolute dog shit, especially if you start using ultra performance, or balance. Rather have it at quality, ultra quality, or ultra quality plus, which makes the game look really, really good and perform really, really good as well. Depending on the GPU you're running, go ahead and choose something inside here. Obviously, what you are running at that very moment. Now, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to choose one inside here that fits your machine perfectly fine. Fidelity FX Cache fits mine perfectly fine at 70% strength over here. It's my own personal preference. Like I said, I don't have frame gen on at all. This needs to be at 80 for me, like this. This option over here, I don't use it at all, and it's my own personal preference. You can try this out, but I don't recommend you do. But I don't use this at all, and I don't recommend you should be using it either. Alright, then these two I've already explained. Depth of field, turn it the fuck off, leave it the fuck off, and done. Who the hell in their right mind plays with depth of field in a multiplayer game? Detail quality, you can have this at low to eat less VRAM of your GPU. I mean, I have a 4070 Super, and I have this at low. So my game can run better, and I can have a competitive advantage. That's what you want. You want more FPS, so your game runs really smooth, and your game also looks really good. Okay? There's not a lot of difference between low, normal, and high. Okay? Yes, I mean, that's going to be the difference. It shows you a sneak preview of, obviously, that's high, and then that's at its lowest, okay? But you are not going to be running around looking at a tree or a bush. You're going to be running around looking at people, finding them, killing them, getting the dub, getting the win, getting the most kills, or whatever the case might be. Okay? Have this at low and you should be good to go. Right, this one over here, I highly recommend just leaving this at very low. You do not need to see this, okay? You do not need to change this at all. Just leave it at very low and just leave it there and done. All right, your bullet impacts, leave this on. It does not have an impact on your FPS in the game. Not at all, probably like 1 or 2 frames. You won't see that. You can't physically see that, especially with your eyes. You can't, so leave this on. All right, the effects, turn it off because the effects are still on in the game, even though they turned off right here. Shader quality, I highly recommend leaving this at low at this very moment. I don't know why mine was at high, but obviously season 3 drop, settings have changed. Okay, so leave this at low, you should be good to go, perfectly fine. On-demand texture streaming, minimal. You used to be able to turn this off, but it's been changed a while back already, so you can only choose minimal over here. Choose minimal. Do not choose this. Minimal, okay? Then you get your local texture streaming quality. You can have this at normal for every single user out there. I don't care if you're playing this on a physical calculator or on a Samsung fridge or on a Samsung toaster. You are going to leave this at normal for all users out there. Then the shadow and lighting plays a very big role on how much FPS is going to be hogged out of your GPU. Now, I don't use this at all, so shadow quality, I leave it low. Then screen space reflections, off, always off, leave it the fuck off, and done. Then this over here, occlusion and screen space lighting is a bunch of bullshit. Turn it off, you don't need it in a multiplayer game. Screen space reflections, off, always off, leave it the fuck off, and done. Static reflection quality, like I said in my previous videos, leave it the fuck low. Optimus Prime's not going to get up and walk around. Leave it the fuck low, and done. You do not need to change these things to a higher setting, because it's only going to hog your FPS. Then the environment over here is also a huge FPS hogger. Overall, I highly recommend for people out there playing this game right now for season 3, okay? It does not matter what machine you are running, okay? Leave this at all. If you are experiencing very bad FPS with let's say a low-end machine and you just getting your average 60 FPS, then I would go with off, okay? But your average gamer out there right now at this very moment, you should be having at least a decent GPU and a decent CPU and decent RAM. Then I would highly recommend choosing, if you like at the mid-range, go to near, and if you're at the high range, go to all. Okay, for metro quality at low, you do not need to see this. The physics, leave it off. You can still see the physics happening in the game while the setting is off inside the settings. Then the weather grid volumes, I highly recommend in general turning this off, leave it the fuck off, and done. Water quality off, always off, and done, and finish, and done. Then apply these settings like this, and you're going to come to the view tab. Now the view tab has these 2 options over here. I don't play around with them because I really fucking don't need to, but yet again, field of view, own personal preference. If you want to see more on your right and left hand side, then go ahead and put it at 120. But yet again, everyone has their own personal preference when it comes to this. But there's a few other things that I highly recommend you go ahead and change inside here. Everything inside here is actually your own personal preference. But these 2 options over here, please go ahead and turn them off. Please. You are going to throw up on your fucking keyboard if these things are on, because literally that's how it's going to look if it has world motion blur on. Then that's also how it's going to look if you have your weapon motion blur on. The weapon is physically blurring when you're moving. Please turn this off. It's a multiplayer game. You do not need this. Then the rest of the things inside here, inverted flash, you can take advantage of this. Please go ahead and do that if you want to rather see this than getting full flashed at night and your whole room goes white. Please go ahead and take advantage of this. Then you can apply these settings and you can actually go and bench your machine and see how it runs. But take this with a grain of salt, ladies and gentlemen. The benchmarking tool inside this game, this benchmarking tool, is a bunch of bullshit. And it's basically just lying to you, because if I run this benchmarking tool, it tells me that I have a 90% bottleneck, which is absolute bullshit, because if I run, let's say, a Cyberpunk benchmark or any other game with a benchmark like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, or even just any game with a benchmarking tool, there is no bottleneck happening in my game. Probably like 1 or 2%. There will always be a bottleneck, but that can't be because of your GPU or your CPU. It could even be your drive, so your M.2 or even your RAM. You can get a bottleneck. There will always be a bottleneck in your game, but don't choose this benchmarking tool. Don't use it. Don't test it like this and tell me that you have a huge bottleneck happening. And then you start tweaking different settings because you have a 90% bottleneck on your GPU or a 90% bottleneck on your CPU. And you're like, oh my god, my game's gonna run like dog shit, I have to change stuff. No, this benchmarking tool is fucking broken. Don't use this to test your game. Please don't. Okay, you're gonna come inside here, come to interface, and you're gonna come over here to where it says telemetry, turn it all on. Okay, all on, so you can see this at the top left over here in white. I have MSI Afterburner open over here, as you can see. Then you can see this, what your machine is actually doing, and I highly recommend you using this. Okay, then you're going to come over here where these two options are. Just please make sure that they are on. I know they are on by default, but please leave them on. Do not turn them off, so you can actually see what's happening in your game. Then skip your introduction movie, turn it on, because every time you come into the game, you do not want to see the introduction of the game, like launching and going through the whole Activision bullshit and Rocket anti-cheat and all that bullshit. Turn it off, so you just launch the game and then you're in the game. All right, done. You're going to come inside here and you're going to come to color customization and be inside here. Now, at this very moment, I highly recommend you change these colors to your own personal preference. Now, I used to have mine over here at a baby blue color, so like a sky blue. Okay, I used to have it like this. I changed it to green, and this is how I have my game right now at season 3. Okay, but just make sure that this one and this one, so your team and party, is the exact same color. Right? Then your enemy, you can have it at a custom color, and then choose your own color that you want. Mine's with like a magenta-ish pink, and that's how I leave my game. Then you're going to come down to this over here. It's going to say color filter. Color filter 2 is the best option. It's always been the best option and will still be the best option. But yet again, I can't please everyone, so everyone's going to have their own personal preference inside here, but I highly recommend choosing filter 2. Then you're going to have this at both 100% and 100%, and you should be good to go. Now, the last step that I highly recommend you go ahead and do inside the game itself is this right here, to apply the settings to your game and then relaunch the game. All right, so let's jump straight into that. All right, so you're going to come to the display tab like this, and you're going to come to restart shader preloading. Select it, select restart. Then this is what you're going to need to do, ladies and gentlemen. Press escape, press escape, press escape, press escape, press escape, press escape, and then go out of the game completely. Okay, say yes, quit to your desktop. It doesn't matter if you're running this to Battle.net or Steam or the Xbox version, and then relaunch your game. Once you relaunch your game, ladies and gentlemen, at the top left corner, it's going to say installing shaders, and it's going to apply the settings for your Black Ops 6 settings, so you just tweak to your own personal preference now. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, if this video worked for you, smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and yes, Verdunks is coming, ladies and gentlemen. In the next 7 hours from me recording this video, Verdunks is going to be released on Warzone. So we'll be doing a Warzone FPS boost guide video for Verdunks. So make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, like this video if you want to see that Verdunks video, and leave a comment down below if this video actually helped you out. It will mean a lot to me to get feedback from you guys. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, if this worked for you, smash the like button, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and as always, hope this helped you, and peace